Okay, we're back with Unit 4, Part 1, Day 1, and this is the second part of it. We already did this part of our notes, and if you haven't done this, you should do this part first. So now we're going to be looking at ones with algebra. If we can do it with numbers, we can do it with algebra. And on each of these problems, I'm going to try to go a little bit quicker so it doesn't take forever on the video, but pause and rewind as you need to. The first thing I suggest on every problem is figure out what kind of problem you're talking about. What do I know about this angle here and this one here? Well, those are vertical angles. And I know that vertical angles are congruent. That means this side equals this side. So this equals this. Now, pause the video, solve for x. Okay, so I paused my video and I worked this out. Pause the video, check to make sure that yours is correct and you got the same answer I did. So I know that x is 5. Now to find each of these things, I'm going to plug them back in. D, B, C is this part right here, so I'm going to plug in the 5 here. So 3 times 5 plus 15 is 30. And I'm going to plug it in for E, B, C. Oh, they're asking me for this side. That's the second one here. How can I find this one if it doesn't have anything to plug it in? Well, I know that those add up to 180, so 180 minus 30 tells me this side is 150. I could check this by also plugging it into this side. 2 times 5 plus 20 is still 30, so I got it right. Notice that sometimes they ask us for a side an angle that they didn't actually plug into there. Alright, the next one. First, figure out what kind of angles we're talking about. Well, I could do vertical angles with these, but I have a y here and an x here. I can't solve an equation with an x and a y. I need to solve with just one variable, so I want to use the parts that both have x in them. These two parts here both have x. I'll get to the y in a minute. This is what I can do. I can't do x and y. So what do I know about these? Well, those are supplementary. And I know that supplementary angles add up to 180. Look, it looks just like that. They make a straight line, and whatever's here plus there equals 180. So that's going to be my equation. So here's my equation, and I do want to fix a typo so that our number comes out an even number. That should be 3x right there. So that should be 3x. So it's this part, 7x plus 20, plus 3x plus 10 equals 180. Now I want you to pause the video and work this part out. Okay, so I worked it out. I combined my like terms on this side. 7 and 3 is 10, 20 and 10 is 30. I subtracted and I finished solving and I got x equals 15. Pause the video if you need to fix this so that yours is correct. So that gave me 15. Now I'm going to go back over here and plug these in. When I plug it into this side, 20 gives me 105. And when I plug it in here, I get 15 times 3 minus 10 gives me 55. Now I can come back and figure out what y is, because I now know these two vertical angles here have to be equal. So what does this side have to be equal to? Well, I plugged in and I now found that this is 55, so what I found is 5y plus 10 has to be 55. Pause the video and solve this one. And I finished working it out. Pause the video, make sure that yours is the same with mine. So I found that 9 is y, or y is 9. Now I can plug this in here. 5 times 9 plus 10, that's still 55. Now I can finish figuring out which these are. LMO. LMO, that's this side, which is 105. And OMN, that's this one, which is 55. Okay, on this one, they start by telling me this information. And remember, we wrote that at the top of the previous page. That little upside down T means perpendicular. So that's telling me that these two make what kind of angle? A 90-degree angle. And if this is 90, then those two there have to also add up to 90. So this is really a complementary problem. Complementary. First time I wrote it, I lost a letter while I was talking to you. Complementary. So our equation, we need to finish filling this in before we get to our equation. I know angle 1 is 6x minus 3. And you should always put these on the picture before you try to start work, because doing it in your head is just too much. So here, I know these two have to add up to 90 degrees, so that's going to be my equation I'm going to write. So I have 7x minus 11 plus 6x minus 3 equals 90 degrees. So now I'm going to take and work that problem out. You should pause the video and work that out on your own. So I finished working this out. Pause the video for a minute, make sure that your answer matches my answer. Alright, so we found x. Now I need to find 1 and 2 by plugging this back in. 6 times 8 minus 3 gives me 45. And 7 times 8 minus 11, plug it in here, also gives us 45. These two happen to be equal. I did know they added up to 90, and they just happen to work out to be equal. They won't be equal every time just because it's complementary. So angle 1 is 45, and angle 2 is 45. Alright, next we have one that's where it's bisects. Remember what bisects means? If you forgot, go back to your little book and look up the one that says angle bisector. If it says something like this, that's telling me that it cuts it into 2 equal parts. So that means that this side here and this side here have to be equal. So this is a angle bisector problem. And we're going to set these two equal to each other. X plus 15 equals 4x minus 45. And that's a problem you're going to solve. Pause the video, work that out on your own. Okay, so I've worked it out here. I got x equals 20. Pause, make sure that your work equals x equals 20 like mine, and I'm going to plug that in here. Now I'm going to take it and plug it back into both of these. 20 plus 15 is 35, and 20 times 4 is 80, minus 45 is 35 degrees. Now be careful, don't just put 35 and 35. Be careful that you're looking at what they're asking for. A, B, D, that's this one on this side. That is 35 degrees. Then they asked me for A, B, C. Is that the small one? No, A, B, C, that's the big one, that's the whole thing, so I have to add 35 and 35 to get 70. We saw the same thing when we did the angle, the midpoint problems with segments. Alright, and finally we have this problem. It doesn't tell me that they're 90 degrees, it doesn't tell me that it bisects or anything, but I do have 3 angles here. RXQ, this one, x plus 15, RXS, ooh, that's the big one, is 5x minus 7. And QXS, that's this one here, 3x plus 5. Since I don't know this is exactly in the middle, I don't know that those are equal, I don't know that it's 90, I don't know that it's 180 or anything, so all I know is that the little one plus the little one equals the big one. So that's going to be my equation here. And I'm using the angle addition postulate, so I'm going to write that here. That says the small one plus the small one equals the big one. So write your equation out and write it out down here and work that out. Pause the video while you work it. So first I combined like terms on this side. X and 3x is 4x, 15 and 5 is 20. Then I went and solved for 20 and I got 27. Pause the video if you need some time to copy this down and make sure you got it right. Now I know this is 27 and I'm going to plug it into each of these. 27 plus 15, that tells me this one is 42. Plug it in here, 3 times 27 plus 5 is 86. And plug it into this one, 128. If I add these two together, do I get 128? I do, so then I'm pretty sure I got these right. Now I just need to finish filling in the blanks I was looking for. RXQ, oh that's this one on this side, that's 42. And then be careful which other one they're asking for, RXS. Oh, that's the big one, RXS, so that's the one that's 128. It's really important that you're figuring out which angle they're looking for and you get the right one.